Sunday Sangha, and the focus of this particular series, September through May, will be on how we experience the Dhamma through our shared relational practice of insight dialogue. Our Zoom host extraordinaire is Nancy Zegerchuk. If you wave your hand, Nancy, thank you so much. So please contact Nancy at any time directly if anything arises, if you need support in any way. And Nancy and I, along with our practice guides today, will be in the main room throughout the session. If anyone needs support, please don't hesitate to come and get us. And our practice guides today are Ayya Anopama and Asaf Federman, two recognized teachers in our community. Ayya offers practice in English, Spanish, and sometimes in German. And Asaf offers practice in Hebrew and English. And they both bring genuine sensitivity to the human condition, as well as a deep understanding of the Dhamma. They will say more about themselves along the way, but I would just like to begin by offering you both a deep bow of appreciation to you both for your time and care in offering practice today. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, friends. Very happy to see you, everybody, some familiar faces and friends from our community. I suggest that we start with a few minutes, 15 minutes of practice, just sitting practice, some guidance, little guidance, and some quiet time to allow the mind and heart to come together. So if you're willing, if you wish, to kind of settle in relatively comfortable posture that will support the body for a few minutes. Allow yourself to be supported by the seat, the chair, the floor. If the eyes are willing to be closed, they can be allowed to do that. Just give them open to stare at some point. Doesn't have to be the screen. Pausing, allowing awareness to meet this present moment. See what is coming up in this particular moment of meeting. Allowing some extra awareness to be directed to the body, breathing, if it supports you. Settling and relaxing. Letting go for a few minutes from any unnecessary stressors or thoughts. Just getting closer to a sense of being and presence. pausing and letting go. Finding support in the collective here and now. Having a sense of the aliveness of this moment in this being. And you're tuning to what's coming up moment after moment. Sense of being ready to meet the next moment. Perhaps, if possible, with an open heart, clear mind, or whatever is the condition of the heart and mind now. Being in the stream of ongoing inner and outer events. Being aware, alive, knowing what is now, not knowing what will be next. Let's have a few minutes without guidance, silent. Whatever the mind is doing now, is there enough awareness to know it? continuously being awake to experience as it unfolds moment after moment. Allowing this attitude to continuously support us as we transition. So in 2 or 3 breaths, you may allow your eyes to open and to transition from this period of meditation without a bell ringing into the hall, into the meeting with other eyes, other human beings in our community. So we transition from uh, a more formal sitting practice into speaking, conversation, um, and then into formal practice again. That's the flow. Uh, that's the flow of our meeting. So I think we'll take a few minutes, or perhaps Ayya and I can introduce the plan for this evening. It's evening here where I am. Introduce ourselves, maybe. Aya, do you want to say a word?
Thanks, Asaf. It feels so familiar to be here all together. So I wonder what I could say about ourselves. And perhaps what comes to mind is actually this sharing this little journey Asaf and myself were embarking on in preparing for this evening a few weeks ago. And this connection, again, across geographic areas. Me at the moment in the UK and Asaf in Israel. And in a way that very much sparked also our exploration and investigation in our theme this evening, which we like to explore. And I must admit, we have met twice, and even since the last meeting, the investigation has continued for me. So I'm even now somewhere else and wasn't even able to share with Asaf where I'm now, as opposed for where we were together on Thursday. So this is tuning with the theme of uncertainty, which came up for both of us based on our individual situation where we are, our socio-politic situation where we are. And from there, we looked into this experience of uncertainty and what it means for each of us. And perhaps I pass it on here to Asaf. I think we looked into what your experience was from your point of view based in Israel at the moment.
Yeah, so uncertainty is definitely a theme for me and for our communities here, as you probably know. And so it's a way also to kind of introduce myself, I think, instead of telling a long story about where I come from or my background, is just to say that I'm here in this war zone called Middle East. Uh, it's like it's going on for more than a year now, and actually the last few weeks were particularly difficult on a personal level. I mean, it was difficult all the time, but where I live in Haifa, it's in the north of Israel. So past few weeks, I don't remember where it started, maybe a couple of months. Uh, there were direct bombings and missiles shot at our area. So that was kind of the level of discovering new levels of unease and uncertainty around, the personal safety, really. Um, and throughout this time, really since October 7, 23, we have Sangha meetings here in Israel, Dhamma teaching, meditation groups. So we investigate the minds and hearts within these conditions. It's very, very interesting, challenging. Um, and I mean, I can talk about it for a very long time. I mean, it's obviously a very complex and rich thing in many experiences. But I can say just on the level of sharing that. Was it like 2 or 3 days? I think since Wednesday there is a ceasefire, um, and it's a good thing. It creates some certainty within the uncertainty, and of course it's not the high level of certainty that one imagines perhaps, but it's on the relative sense, it's very supportive to have safety on some level. Uh, when I say supportive, I mean it's supportive of some attitudes of the mind and the body can relax a little bit more, which supports, further things. Um, Probably you all know it. I mean, everybody knows it. We are creatures that look for safety. So when the conditions are safer, it's slightly easier. But of course, it doesn't eliminate um, the embedded uncertainty that we all live in. So the whole condition, which may look to some of you perhaps like very unique or kind of extraordinary, it's just exposing something that is really part of this being human on this earth. So this is where I'm coming from, kind of more or less at this stage. And I'm to say something on the immediate kind of experience. I teach quite a lot in Hebrew here locally, and we have this at least imagined shared experience, which I don't feel right now with an international group that, and I don't know some of you and many of you. And it's interesting for me. It's like it makes things also alive, and I'm curious, and I would like to hear, of course. So I just wanted to kind of to say that of this particular moment. Uh, I'm really part of what I'm doing. Really is I'm looking always for connection and shared view, the ability to see together, to see things together. So that's from me.
So when we started to engage in this conversation, Asaf and myself, my situation being very different, being in a different part of the world and also leading a quite different life in a way to probably most of you or some of you. And the level of uncertainty or safety, or the question around that in my life manifests in a different way. I'm not under the threat of kind of violence or bombing or shooting. That uncertainty I'm experiencing is the uncertainty of being a monastic who has gone into homelessness and actually doesn't live anywhere, which comes also with its challenges. And at the same time, it's the learning edge. So for myself, the sense of safety I found over time has a lot to do with connection with other peoples. And part of this community is actually a way of feeling safe or feeling a sense of security, even if it's not a security, but kind of a embedded being in a Sangha, which is around the globe, especially when you are not anywhere based in a fixed place. So what we explored in our conversation, Asaf and myself, was this need of this body, mind, and the nervous system for safety. And what it feels like when, for example, Asaf shares about what does it mean when the ceasefire was announced and what it does to the mind heart, or what it means for me to know that for the next 6 weeks I'm in one place. And there's kind of one level which on the one hand we know from the teachings of the Buddha of this impermanence. There is no security really in the worldly material kind of things we're making up. And yet there is a relative level which this body, mind, heart is longing for or struggling with, which is activated, and we cannot always deny that. So when we understand impermanence, we don't often ask ourselves what it means in terms of really tipping into this place of uncertainty. So we do know things change and are out of our control, but to really sensing into not sure, not sure. One of the Thai teachers of the Ajahn Chah tradition, actually Ajahn Chah himself, was the advice of a standard of the noble ones, 2 qualities. And the first quality he mentioned is not sure, the attitude of not sure. And what does that mean? Even now when I say it, as you bring perhaps the pause, listening to my words, what arises in the body when I mention unreliable? You can't be sure. You can't even be sure of the next moment. What is the felt body sense? What is the mind doing in this moment when you present not sure? Or the term uncertain. And again, these are linguistics, but they come with a meaning. And perhaps right there you may notice there is an urge perhaps arising, or perhaps the mind spinning, even just vibrating by the sense of uncertain, unreliable, ungovernable. So in this first contemplation, we want to explore a little bit, and perhaps we are familiar with this understanding of impermanence, but what is it actually like to feel it, being in this uncertain space? Sometimes it can be a gap even. If you experience the breakdown of a relationship, or perhaps your financial situation from one day changes to another, or you're faced with a serious disease, perhaps the next appointment by the doctor, and then in that moment, what happens? You're out of control, you don't know. And the normal thing of the mind is to try to create anything to hold on, to regulate. And it may be planning different scenarios, holding on, denying, or distracting. And all these mechanisms are the mind's way of dealing with this actually being groundless, not being in control. It wants to land, it wants certainty. So in this contemplation, really give yourself the pause and then a tuning to emergence, with the invitation to sense into what is the experience of not sure, uncertain, and how do you meet it? How is the body responding to it? What strategies may you notice when you present it to the mind? And it could be a situation from your life. It could be a situation right now in this room. It could be even the situation as you're entering the room, not sure who you go to end up with. So let it become very simple, immediate, to dip into the surface, beneath the surface, the experience of this not sure, and what the mind is doing. What are the strategies which may arise right here in the moment as you tune to emergence and pause? We're having separate speaker and listener, and we will broadcast further instructions into the Zoom room, the breakouts.
Nancy, I'm not sure.
We're just inviting through the bell, the mind and the body to pause. And just noticing what is arising in this moment. As you were exploring this sense of unsure, not know, what currents are active in the body-mind right now? And how was it for you, the listener, as your partner has shared this very human condition we're all facing together of being fundamentally insecure, out of control, and then noticing how we're meeting it in the mind and body. So we're changing roles and continue with the same contemplation and see whether you can bring it right here in this room together, keeping it very simple, sensing into this insecurity, into this uncertainty, in whatever way it manifests in your life or right now. Perhaps the way you meet it, there might be resistance or restlessness, perhaps fear or denial, control, spinning different scenarios, whatever it might be for you. See what is emerging this moment and how this urge feels, manifests as you bring the pause very close to the experience in the body. Can you feel it in the body, this longing? And speak to it. Next speaker, allow yourself to be supported and tune in to what is emerging in this moment. So allowing the bell to create a natural pause and letting go of the contemplation for now, tuning again into what is arising, the quality of the mind in this moment, and the currents in the body. We will return to the main hall. In a few moments, you will come back to the same partner.
Moving to the second contemplation, an opportunity to further explore the theme. I'm thinking about the uncertainty on 3 levels or 3 time frames. The very short, the middle, and the long term. So the very short, you can explore, and you have explored perhaps the not knowing of what comes next. Me not knowing exactly what I'll say, although I have a plan. It may manifest differently. So really we sit and we don't know what will come to our mind in a minute or in a few seconds, a thought or a memory or whatever. And then there's the middle term uncertainty, which, well, I don't like it usually, we don't like not knowing what will happen in 2 weeks or 3 months or a year. We kind of want to have some stability in life for that, but there's quite a lot of uncertainty in that level as well. And then there's a long-term life and beyond our life, um, the world and where it goes. And there may be some uncertainty or certainty on these levels as well. So all this kind of opens up the mind to see how it is in our lives, and that we have habitual ways of meeting uncertainty on all 3 levels. And habitual ways, you may have noticed them just now in the previous contemplation in the rooms. And it'd be interesting to see or to think or to explore what would be a non-habitual way to meet uncertainty. What is the non-habitual way to attune to the emergence of reality as it comes? Perhaps there's a sense of letting go there. There's something we let go of the habits, let go of the tendencies. So what are we letting go of? The two questions here that we can hold. What are we letting go when we attune to emergence? And what might become possible when we do that? If we have any experience of that, what 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 new comes to life? What makes it? What might be possible? What's this? What emerges? So perhaps there's a sense of a non-habitual way would be something around not pushing away and not holding on to. It's really a middle way. But you'll see, explore it in your own experience, in your life. Letting go into uncertainty and see what's possible, what becomes possible. So you are invited to go back to the same dyads and with an open dialogue, no particular roles predefined. So you'll find the roles within the conversation, within the dialogue. Speaker and listener still exist. It requires pausing, relaxing, because this is a heavy topic. Opening to your partner and attuning to what emerges in the moment of the conversation as we contemplate the non-habitual tendencies, the non-habitual way to meet uncertainty. My computer doesn't allow to ring bells. It doesn't transmit the voice. So I'm sending you with my own good voice to the dyads in the room. Thank you, Nancy. Hello, friends. Sorry to pop into your dialogue. It's about time to wrap up things and perhaps find a way to thank your partner and make any closing notes that you want to say. And we'll be back in the main hall soon.
Again, as the large group in this room, and again, a moment of uncertainty. Even now, as I speak, I'm looking whether everybody is actually here. Can't be certain. Maybe somebody has disappeared. And so perhaps you have explored or discovered something in these contemplations about how your tendencies are. And again, we are not here to judge or kind of get rid of, but just to get to know the tendencies and see whether there might be other choices. Also to get to know how this body mind is actually in a lived experience reacting. One of the things which inspired me was the idea leading on from Asaf's invitation for the contemplation. Why not make uncertainty our refuge? What would it be like as we're looking for refuge in certainty, to take uncertainty as our refuge. Not sure. And again, as I say that, what arises? Could you imagine or feel to stand upon not sure? What would that be like? What does that mean for our awareness, for the mindfulness? What happens in that moment? And perhaps there's the possibility to open to not sure, opening to this flow of how things are. So we would like to open up into the large group and just invite into this moment, not sure, what might have been discovered, what might have been seen, what might have been challenging, or what is even to be noticed in this moment. So just unmute yourself and let's practice with the pause, attuning to emergence, and bring your attention and quality of listening to this moment of not sure.
Getting closer to our closing time for this meeting. So I thought to suggest that we take 2 minutes or 3 minutes to pause and appreciate this auspicious occasion of us coming together and contemplating and exploring what it means to be human in these uncertain conditions. If we take a moment to feel into that, and perhaps there was something meaningful touching us, touching our depth. Something that was said or heard or just emerged. Could be a sense of gratitude directed inwardly or outwardly. Knowing that the fruits of our endeavors will nourish us, our lives, and our next moments. And not keeping it to ourselves, knowing that it will touch the lives of others, the benefits of those who are close to us, in our families, in our communities. In the geographical areas where we live around us, also people we may not know, and wishing that it will continue to influence in a good way the lives of many creatures, people in our countries, beyond the borders, with no discrimination. For peace and harmony and friendship for everyone. May there be peace and harmony and friendship. Thank you.
Friends, I have just put in the chat invitation. If you have the financial means and would like to experience the joy of dana, generosity, the request is that you might make a contribution to the Sunday Sangha through the link there to the Insight Dialogue website. And yeah, I just really encourage you to, if you are able to take the time to touch the joy of that. Yeah, thank you so much, Ayya and Asaf. It's been a delight.
Thank you, Nancy, and for the support. And thank you, Anita, for the support. And thank you for the whole community here. I'm very happy to see you.
Mm. Thanks to all of you, and to you, Asaf, and our little journey which we are able to join and share.